Hi guys, today is the 23rd of August 2020 and it's 59 minutes past 11 in the morning over here in the UK, and I very quickly wanted to talk about August 27th, which is coming up in 4 days time, 5 days time, 4 days time, sorry, but just 28 for some reason in my head. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly go through like the first couple minutes of this video. I'm not going to go past the classroom scene, and I'm just going to quickly point out where I think that the numbers 8, 2, and 7 could be repeating. And when I reference number 8, it's either going to be the number 8 directly, the number 8 in combination, or the number 8 in letter format, which is the letter H. So, first of all, the barcode on the head, we know it's 666, the Antichrist mark of the beast, but flipped upside down, it's 999, which is the UK emergency number. Now, that's important to me because obviously, one, I live in the UK, but a second 9/11 could potentially be over here in the UK, as in 9/11 was the US's emergency number, where 999 is ours. So that's why I'm keeping an eye out on the UK on the 27th, but I still keep my eye on the entire world because we're all connected. Now, with the 999 upside down, referencing the emergency number, adding those numbers together gives you number 27. Now, the fact that the barcode is on the head of the goat gives me a reference to number 8 with the word head beginning with the letter H. And we're going to see some more of that type of interpretation a little bit later in the video. So I've got H and I've got the number 27. So I'm looking at 827 from the barcode and the head of the goat. Come down to the dog at the bottom here, and I pointed out before that the two legs back here form the number 2, but then the front leg, you don't get to see the fourth leg. The front third leg kind of connects onto the bottom part of the dog's jaw there. So you have like the backwards number 7 again. So again, number 27. Now you don't see the letter H here or the number 8 here, but what you do have is the number 3 for the dog's head. And then where the teeth are in the dog's mouth, it creates the letter V. Now V is the Roman numeral for the number 5. So I've taken that 5 and 3 and put them together, 8, 27, and potentially again 8, 27. So that's just in that first scene, right in front of us there. We have more with that first scene, but I've moved it on a little bit further because I feel like there's more connected to this part. So there's two potential 827s right in the beginning of the video, and we're still in the beginning of the video in this scene. And what I see here is another reference to 9/11 and 827. So first of all, the blocks. There are 9 of them. Now, there's no reason for there to be 9 because the comma is not needed. So the fact that they put 9 and then they put the 11 here gives me a reference to 9/11. And then I started looking a bit further. So I thought, if the comma is not necessary, I comma pet goat 2. That's none of us say it like that. It's just I pet goat 2. So take out the comma and you're left with 8. I believe the comma may reference you to number 8 again because it separates the I, which can also be a H, which could also be the letter 8, but the I could also be the letter 9. So again, you have an 8-9 reference. So 9 with the letter I, 9 blocks, and then the mark of 2 or 11, if you want to see it that way. And then the potential of this being H with the comma taken out, you're then left with 8 blocks. And when I thought of that, I thought, okay, so we have another reference to 8, potentially August. Obviously, I have to also mention that on the Roman calendar, the 8th month is October, so that is something to keep in mind as well. If August passes, that same month reference of 8 would jump to October because the oct in October stands for or references the number 8. So here we have 8 blocks without the comma. And then I was thinking 8/11, that's past. So when I looked at it a bit closer, I was thinking, well, actually, this could be a 7 here, and this could be a 7 here, just upside down and flipped around. So when I thought about it like that and I said it out loud, I had 8 blocks with 2 sevens. So 827. So there's another reference to 827. Now, with the hands here, there's a lot of messaging in here, blood money, um, you know, puppetry involving money again. Obviously, the reptilian-like skin. All of that is stuff that people have looked at for various different reasons. But when I'm looking at this image, what I see here, as I've pointed out before, is a bird with its head kind of going down. So you can see where the top of the skull would be, then it comes down to the beak, and then the beak comes back around, and then you've got the bottom of the jaw here. We just cut it off here, so you've just got the head of the bird there, and then you've got this little shiny part on the fingernail, which makes it look like the bird's eye. Kind of gives the bird a sinister appearance. Obviously it's dark, so I'm assuming that that bird is one of several blackbirds. It could be a blackbird, a raven, a crow. There's many different ones. I'm still looking into the meaning of for what that could potentially mean. But for now, I just know that there's a bird right here. And then when you look in the middle here, where you've got all the blood, I can see the letter N being formed out of the fingers backwards. And again, the letter Y being formed out of the fingers backwards. It's like the New York Yankees design on the hats, where they cross over the N and the Y and they kind of merge them together, so each letter creates the other. That's what I see here, but backwards. So again, following it from here backwards, you've got the N coming out, and then you've got the Y as well. So you've got a bird for some reason, a potential reference to New York, and then I was looking at these fingers, and I think I do see a 27 reference again, with the 2 here, and then the number 7 here, just backwards. And I was thinking, okay, I can see the number 27, but where is the number 8? And then I was thinking, well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fingers that are predominant in the scene. Obviously, we know that the thumb is there, but as you can see, it's kind of blurred. It's in the background. It really seems to just be there to make up the N and the Y for the New York reference, but doesn't involve itself in the foreground of the scene like these other fingers do. So that one may be a bit of a stretch, but there we have another potential 827. So that's 4 within the first 30 seconds of the video. Keeping it going. I don't see the 8 or the H, but again, the potential for the number 27 being on the head, which again, head beginning with H, H8, the alphabet, could give us another reference to August 27th. There's other dates I'm looking at for this, but that's one of them. We keep going, and we get 10, 10, and I was too slow, but he shows 7 as a combination of 3 and 4 on his fingers, which brings us to, again, another reference to 27. Now, again, I don't see the H or the 8 in that part, but number 27 stays. We come a little bit further into the scene, and the shark itself, the mouth with the number 2, the 7 coming off the tail, the 8 teeth, another possible reference just there. And then I think with my final reference, maybe I'll give one more reference before I go. So another potential 27 is, let me just go back here. Gone past it. There we go. Okay, so in this scene here, this is less to do with August 27th, and more just to do with the number 27 and the push-pull and a possible interpretation. But we've got a potential here with, you can see this little faded mark here, which comes down past the bar and the letter L. Now, if you was to include that faded bar, you potentially have the letter F going backwards one way, and obviously the letter L going the other way. FL could be a potential Florida reference. Including the bottom bars, you've got the number 10, the letter K, and the acronym ID for identified, or I've also looked at in darkness, and that could potentially be involving a cyber attack, a power outage caused by severe weather, or an EMP. We've looked at all three of those. Putting this aside, because it's separate, you then get to the letter T, or the letter I, or the letter H. Now, if you do view it as a H, you have another potential 8 reference just there. And then over here, what looks like a potential power symbol, or the letter N, or a sideways letter Z, could also be a 7, a 1, and a 1. And I include this bar down here because I've included it here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So all these little dash bars, they actually form part of the message with the letters. So what I've got here is 1, 2, 7. Now, we've passed July 11th, so apart from 27 in any particular month, but particularly looking at August, we could also have a November 7th reference, but obviously that's a couple of months away, so if that's the case, I'll address it closer to the point. But for now, I've got 27, 8, Florida, 10, K. When you put the 10 and K together, it becomes 10,000. And then you have the reference to ID or in darkness or some other possible acronym for the letters I and D. But again, that 27, 711 keeps on coming up. And I think this is the last place I'll talk about it. In this scene, we've often interpreted these characters as representing months because there's 12 of them. And then there's the 13th character, where there's so many different levels of meaning. But in the background, the reference of follow the white rabbit or follow the white hare is why I've kind of taken the rabbit's direction of looking at the 8th character, the one that's hidden more so than the others, and above his head are 2 marks, which kind of give you a reference to the number 11 or 2. Now, if he was looking at it as number 11, and you included the girl in the count going this way, this boy would end up being number 9, and then have 2 marks above his head. So with the rabbit looking at him, and him possibly being a reference to 9/11, it makes me think that character there is important, potentially in a date reference. Now, excluding the girl in the count, he's the 8th character. So we have an August reference there, or potential August reference there. We then have 2 marks on the rabbit's head and a 7 right next to him. So we've got a 27 reference over here. And then we have the 3 leaves inside of that circle. And I think that gives us a message to potentially a time. We have a potential month of August. We have a potential date of the 27th. So a potential time of 3 o'clock. That again kind of builds on this scene because we have the exit in the background. It looks like potentially it's telling us this is the time the children leave school, which is about 3 o'clock, 3:30. So that's all I really wanted to talk about today. Just how many times within the first 2 minutes of the video we're potentially, I say potentially because I can't be sure, we're potentially shown the numbers 8, 2, and 7. Now obviously if it's not August the 27th and it converts to, say, November the 7th instead, then the 8 in there could again be a time reference and give us an 8 o'clock reference on the 7th of November. But for now, we've got a 3 o'clock reference on the 27th of August. Strong connections to the UK, as I've talked about before. The black and white tiling, Freemasons started in Scotland. The apple brought to America from the UK. The rose, obviously a reference to New York, but again, the English rose. Blue and white, red colour scheme, emergency lighting, exit with the blue and red colour scheme, Brexit. The white stag, the crown, the pound coin, the symbols, all of it. There's a lot of UK references in here. So UK, keep watch. New York, keep watch. Florida, keep watch. And the last place that I'm going to say to keep watch during this time period is Texas. The reason I say Texas is because we have a clear reference, or a potential clear reference, to August the 27th with the shark back here. And in this scene, let me just go back a tiny bit, we have the George Bush character, who is from Texas, but was in Florida when he received the 9/11 news, pointing at the map around Florida and pointing at the shark. Again, that could link on to the 10,000 ID, maybe in darkness, maybe identified. I'd prefer it to be in darkness because 10,000 identified would probably be something pretty bad. But then again, if it's referring to a shark, which is a reference to submarines, and Florida could be a potential EMP reference, and that's why we've got so much power outages references, like the hangman looking like a broken circuit, the N in the evolution chart looking like a power symbol, the evol potentially being an E and volt with the T added onto it, which again give us a reference to electricity, the lightning bolt, the sockets without plugs, all of it kind of gives us a reference to electricity, the whole thing being drawn on a blackboard, which again could give us a reference to electricity. The scene starting up in darkness, again showing us something to do with electricity or power, or blackout. But going back to what I was going to say, around this time where we have the reference to Texas and Florida and everything else going on, the George Bush character starts doing all these movements which give us an indication to events. So the first movement he does is he starts to swirl his head around in a circle, as well as his hands, which gives us an indication to some sort of circular weather pattern. Now, obviously, every time a hurricane comes along, you're like, oh, is it this one? Is it this one? You know, especially if it does that thing where it starts off down in the south and moves up the northeast, as the star does in this video when pointing at the map. But if it's not referencing a hurricane moving up the east coast and just a hurricane or a swirling pattern in general, then right around this time where his head goes back to look at the shark, and we know that there's a potential August 27th reference in there, we have a hurricane. I think this one is called Laura, which will be in the Gulf of Mexico around that time. Now this is in UK time, so on the 27th, it's suggesting that the hurricane has made impact with Texas. That's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 27th UK time, so that would take us back to 8 o'clock, I think it is, on the East Coast. 8 o'clock in the morning, sorry, in the East Coast. So if it was to be 10 o'clock over here, so around 5 p.m. on the 26th, the hurricane's really approaching Texas. And then 1 o'clock in the morning over here in the UK, which is 8 o'clock in the evening in the East Coast, we have it approaching again. It seems to have shifted a little bit while I've been looking at it, moving into New Orleans again. Either way, we'll just keep an eye out around this area here, from Texas to Louisiana, and we'll see what happens. Um, right now, it's probably projected to be like a category 3 or 4, but again, these things can be slowed down, so there's a potential for it to be made stronger. I think the temperatures in the water right now are pretty good for, yeah, they're pretty good for energizing um, tropical storms and hurricanes. So all I'm saying here is that with the George Bush character's head spinning around, possibly referring to a hurricane, and the shark in the background, possibly referring to August the 27th, and the George Bush character representing Texas, I think it's important that you guys keep a watch out and make sure that you're prepared for any potential flooding that could come in, because that's a suggestion from the next body movement that we see in the George Bush character. The raising up of the arms is a suggestion of waves, and then the hand moving across is a suggestion that those waves come inland, and then after that, the head going across suggests he's seeing something, and the worry on his face suggests it's something perhaps like a missile, as we see in the background here on the blackboard. So that's one reason to keep an eye out. And then, as I've said, we have another potential 2 references to August 27th here, and the goat's eyes as well as the goat's head does the same thing as the George Bush character, starts that swirling pattern, which refers you to something, and obviously a hurricane does swirl, so it's something to watch out for. That's pretty much all I wanted to bring to you guys today. August the 27th, keep an eye out. UK, Texas, Florida, and New York. And hopefully nothing happens, but if anything does happen, it may be related to flooding, some sort of flash flood, or maybe I don't know, tsunami-like event. I say tsunami-like, so not exactly a tsunami-like. And then obviously there's also the blackouts and everything else to look out for. So I think that's it. You guys, thanks for listening. Made this video a bit too long, but I just wanted to really talk about it and make sure that I'd covered everything that I wanted to cover. So with that said, I hope the volume wasn't too low, because I do feel like I'm speaking quite low in this video. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.